Words are not mere sounds that pass through the air. They are spiritual. Forces carrying vibrations that build or destroy, attract or repel. Every word uttered is a seed planted in the fertile soil of the subconscious mind and in the vast universe that surrounds us. What a person continually affirms will inevitably take root, grow, and manifest in their life. Words shape destiny as surely as an architect's blueprint shapes the construction of a building. If a person speaks of lack, limitation, or struggle, then those conditions will faithfully appear, for the spoken word always finds a way to clothe itself in visible form. If one chooses to speak of abundance, prosperity, health, and success, those very conditions will spring forth, drawn irresistibly by the magnetic power of language charged with belief. The law of life is precise and impartial. It does not decide for anyone whether the words spoken are constructive or destructive. It simply takes those words as commands. Words backed with emotion and faith carry even greater creative force. When someone says, "I cannot afford this," or "I always fail," they have unknowingly issued decrees that the unseen realm begins to carry out. Likewise, when one boldly affirms, "I am prosperous now," or "everything I touch brings success," the universe responds in kind, arranging circumstances, opening doors, and moving resources to match that spoken truth. The subconscious accepts words without argument, so repeated affirmations, whether positive or negative, become the mold into which life pours itself. Throughout history, mystics and teachers have declared that the tongue holds the power of life and death. This truth reveals that words are not simply descriptions of reality, but commands that call reality into being. To speak with intention is to hold the reins of destiny. Even casual words have effect, for every utterance contains energy. Careless speech of fear, sickness, or poverty can set unseen forces in motion, just as surely as deliberate affirmations of health, peace, and wealth. This is why it is wise to guard speech with vigilance, for every word spoken is either an ally or an enemy to one's highest good. When an individual aligns their words with divine truth, declaring abundance, wholeness, and freedom, they set themselves in harmony with the infinite supply of the universe. The creative power of words is magnified when spoken with certainty, for doubt weakens the decree while faith strengthens it. Speaking prosperity while inwardly trembling in fear will bring little result, but speaking prosperity with unwavering assurance compels the law of life to manifest that prosperity quickly and perfectly. The words themselves become channels through which spiritual energy flows, drawing to the speaker every resource necessary to fulfill the decree. To understand that words create reality is to recognize that every conversation, every prayer, and every affirmation is shaping tomorrow's experiences. One can begin to direct life with precision by consciously choosing words of power, blessing, and abundance. By speaking only what they desire to see, rather than what they fear, a person steps into the role of conscious creator, using words as the divine instruments they were meant to be. Faith is the ability to look beyond what the physical eyes reveal and trust in the unseen reality that is governed by divine law. Appearances often whisper of lack, failure, or limitation, but appearances are deceptive shadows that change with the movement of light. To live by appearances is to be tossed about by every temporary condition, but to live by faith is to anchor oneself in the eternal truth that abundance and good are already present, waiting to be recognized and received. Outwardly, a person may see an empty purse, unpaid bills, or closed doors, but inwardly they can affirm the inexhaustible supply of the universe, knowing that appearances are only the surface of things and not the final word. Faith does not deny what the eyes see, but refuses to be ruled by it. A farmer does not deny that the soil is bare after planting seeds, yet he trusts that beneath the ground a harvest is forming. In the same way, one who walks by faith holds firm to the unseen reality of abundance, health, and success, even when circumstances appear otherwise. This steadfastness is what draws the invisible into the visible, the intangible into the tangible. When words of truth are spoken with conviction, faith keeps the heart from wavering until those words clothe themselves in form. Every person is tempted at times to measure life by appearances, for the senses insist on showing what seems to be real. Yet the spiritual law declares that what is unseen is more enduring than what is seen. Conditions change like clouds across the sky, but the divine substance of life remains unshaken. Faith rests in this higher truth, affirming abundance even when the bank account looks empty, declaring health even when the body feels weak, claiming love even when loneliness presses in. The refusal to bow before appearances is what allows miracles to unfold, for the outer world eventually conforms to the inner words spoken with faith. It is in moments of testing that the difference between faith and sight becomes clear. To trust in abundance when all is flowing easily requires little strength, but to affirm prosperity when nothing outwardly confirms it is the true demonstration of faith. This unwavering stance sets unseen forces in motion, aligning circumstances, inspiring ideas, and attracting opportunities until what was once invisible is plainly visible. Those who hold fast to appearances remain trapped by them, but those who look beyond appearances command life itself to reveal its hidden treasures. The secret lies in turning the eyes of the spirit toward truth, rather than gazing endlessly at conditions. By affirming divine supply in the face of lack, one signals to the universe that they trust its laws more than their circumstances. In response, the universe rearranges itself to match that faith. Thus, faith is not passive waiting, but active knowing, a calm certainty that the good already exists and is moving swiftly into manifestation. When appearances tempt with discouragement, faith declares, "This is only shadow. The light of abundance is already here." The spoken word is the most powerful instrument given to humanity, for it serves as the bridge between thought and manifestation. Thoughts may drift, but words crystallize them, stamping them upon the subconscious mind and sending them forth into the unseen realm where they gather substance. When spoken with conviction, words carry authority, acting as commands to the universe that must be obeyed. The ancient truth remains unchanged. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. To speak health, wealth, and success is to invite these conditions to take root, while careless speech of lack and failure draws forth those very experiences. The affirmation, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for my immediate and endless supply. Let all that is mine by divine right now reach me in perfect ways. I am one with the opulence of God. I am wealthy beyond measure," demonstrates this law in action. These words are not empty sentences, but living decrees. Each phrase is charged with spiritual energy and directs the mind away from limitation and toward divine abundance. The subconscious mind, which takes every word as truth, begins to align with the reality of wealth. At the same time, the universal law of supply responds, arranging conditions, people, and opportunities to fulfill the decree. The power of the spoken word is magnified by belief. To repeat words mechanically produces little, but to speak them with certainty transforms them into living seeds that must sprout. Words charged with faith become commands that cannot return void. Even when appearances seem to contradict a declaration, continued affirmation carves a path through resistance until manifestation becomes inevitable. The spoken word is like a key that unlocks hidden doors, releasing treasures that already exist in the invisible realm. Every person uses this law, whether knowingly or unknowingly. When someone repeatedly says, "I never succeed," or "money is hard to come by," they have created affirmations that summon failure and struggle. These words, clothed with emotion, sink deep into the subconscious and draw forth conditions that match them. In the same way, a person who declares daily, "I am prosperous," "I am successful," All that is mine, by divine right, flows to me now, sets in motion unseen forces that eventually must bear fruit. The difference lies not in the law, but in the words chosen. To master speech is to master destiny. This is why the wise guard their words carefully, refusing to give voice to fear, doubt, or complaint. Instead, they speak only what they desire to see, knowing that the tongue shapes tomorrow's reality. Words are tools of creation, and when directed with intention, they become channels through which divine abundance flows without obstruction. One need not understand every mechanism of this law, only trust its certainty and wield words with reverence. By speaking truth, prosperity, and harmony with unwavering assurance, anyone can summon forth treasures from the unseen, proving that the spoken word is indeed the greatest power in the game of life. True prosperity is never the result of endless toil, strain, or desperate effort. Struggle springs from the belief that supply must be wrestled from the world by force. But abundance flows naturally to those who align themselves with divine law. The universe was not designed for hardship and scarcity, but for ease, order, and fulfillment. When one learns to affirm the truth of divine supply, the struggle ceases and prosperity begins to move with grace and speed. Wealth is not created by worry or frantic labor, but by consciousness attuned to abundance. When words of truth are spoken with faith, they act as magnets, drawing to the individual the people, opportunities, and resources needed for their good. There is no need to chase after prosperity or force it into existence, for what belongs to a person by divine right cannot be withheld. Just as water flows to fill every open channel, so supply flows effortlessly to one who declares their oneness with the infinite source. The law of life is not one of strain but of circulation, and when the heart and mind are open, blessings find their way without obstruction. This is why many discover that when they cease worrying and striving, prosperity appears in the most unexpected ways. Opportunities arrive seemingly out of nowhere. Debts are cleared, partnerships form, and doors that once seemed bolted suddenly swing wide. These events are not accidents, but the natural outworking of divine order once fear and struggle are released. Effort alone, when born of anxiety, often leads to exhaustion without reward. But effort that flows from inspiration and faith is accompanied by ease, for it is supported by universal law. To live in this flow requires trust. It is the refusal to believe that success must come through suffering, and instead to affirm that life was meant to be abundant and harmonious. When someone continually affirms, "I am one with the opulence of God," all channels are open, all doors are free. They are no longer resisting the flow of good, but allowing it to move freely. The very energy of resistance, born of fear, is what blocks prosperity, while surrender to divine law releases it. The effortless flow of supply is also a safeguard against greed and force. What is gained through manipulation, fear, or dishonesty does not endure, for it was never obtained in harmony with law. But what comes through right affirmation, through faith and alignment with divine truth, is permanent, fruitful, and always brings peace with it. Real wealth is not anxious, nor does it breed unrest. It moves smoothly, quietly, and generously, touching not only the one who receives it, but all who are connected to them. Thus, prosperity is not a prize wrested through ceaseless labor, but a river that flows when one steps into alignment with the current of truth. The spoken word, uttered with certainty and faith, opens the channels, and supply comes swiftly, naturally and abundantly, as though it had been waiting all along for permission to pour in. The concept of divine right is the recognition that every soul is born into this world already endowed with abundance, health, love, and success. These blessings are not earned by struggle, nor are they withheld as favors. They belong to each individual as part of their spiritual inheritance. Just as the child of a wealthy parent need not fight to prove worthiness of the estate, so too each person is heir to the infinite riches of the universe. The only barrier lies in disbelief, fear, and the misuse of words that deny this truth. When one awakens to the law of divine right, they understand that they need not grasp, beg, or compete, for prosperity for what is theirs will come to them in perfect ways and cannot be taken by another. Divine right supply is the opposite of human striving. Human reasoning says that opportunities are scarce, resources limited, and success must be fought for. Divine law declares that there is infinite supply, and each person has a portion that is theirs alone. No one else can touch it, and no one can prevent it from reaching them except themselves through doubt or negative speech. By affirming, "What is mine by divine right is now released to me in perfect ways," a person aligns with this higher truth and releases the hidden good that has always been theirs. This principle brings peace, for it removes fear of loss and competition. One does not need to envy another's wealth, position, or success, because it has come to them by their own divine right, just as one's own blessings will arrive in due time. No one can take another's good, and no one can lose what belongs to them in truth. Even if something seems to be lost, if it is theirs by divine right, it will return or be replaced by something greater. This understanding transforms life from anxious striving into calm expectancy. For faith knows that what is ordained cannot be delayed or denied. The law of divine right also ensures that blessings arrive in ways that bring harmony rather than discord. Wealth gained by deceit or manipulation may glitter for a time, but eventually turns to ashes, for it was never aligned with truth. Divine right supply, however, comes with peace, joy, and permanence. It enriches the receiver without harm to another, and often multiplies blessings for all involved. This is why affirmations of divine right are so powerful. They summon only that which truly belongs, protecting from missteps, false opportunities, or temporary gains that lead to loss. To live by this law is to rest in the certainty that abundance is inevitable. It is not a matter of if, but when. By speaking words of faith and aligning with truth, the channels of divine supply are opened, and every good thing flows in its appointed time. The individual no longer scrambles to grasp fleeting chances, but walks confidently, knowing that what is theirs is secure, permanent, and already moving toward them in perfect order. Life can be understood as a great spiritual game, and like every game, it has laws, strategies, and a way to win. The rules are simple yet profound. Fear, doubt, and hesitation lead to defeat, while faith, confidence, and the spoken word lead to victory. Those who understand this truth discover that the game is not about battling against others, but about mastering one's own thoughts, words, and beliefs. The prize is not only material prosperity, but also health, peace, love, and fulfillment. To win is to bring the invisible good into visible form by steadfastly affirming it until it becomes reality. In this game, the spoken word is the decisive move. Every affirmation of abundance, every declaration of health, every spoken truth of success advances the player toward victory. But hesitation, fear-driven words, and negative affirmations act like missteps that pull one backward. The universe is impartial, responding only to the vibration of words and beliefs, not to hopes without conviction. The one who consistently declares prosperity and refuses to retract those declarations gains mastery over conditions. This steadfastness is what distinguishes the victor from the defeated. The game is not won by force or struggle, but by certainty. To speak words of truth and then doubt them is to undo the move, but to speak them and hold unwaveringly to them is to place the game firmly in one's favor. Appearances may temporarily suggest loss or failure, but the player, who understands the rules, knows that appearances are only illusions. They continue affirming their good, refusing to give power to shadows, until light breaks through and reveals the manifestation. In this way, Persistence and consistency of speech become the key strategies. Every challenge in life is an opportunity to play the game at a higher level. Obstacles are not punishments, but tests of faith, asking whether the player will surrender to fear or stand firmly in truth. Each time a person declares abundance in the face of lack, health in the face of sickness, or success in the face of failure, they score another point in the game. Over time, this unwavering stand builds momentum, and the law of life begins to deliver blessings swiftly and abundantly. Victory in this game is not selfish gain, but alignment with divine law. True success never robs or harms another, for divine right supply ensures that everyone has their portion. The player who wins does so not by taking what belongs to others, but by claiming what already belongs to them in the higher order. Such success is lasting, peaceful, and filled with joy, for it is built upon eternal truth rather than fleeting appearances. To live with this understanding is to walk through life with confidence, no longer a victim of circumstance, but a master of the spiritual game. Each word spoken becomes a move, each affirmation a step toward victory. In the end, the one who dares to boldly affirm abundance and never takes it back becomes the champion of their destiny, proving that the game of life was designed to be won.